I heard there will be close to 200 million people watching the Super Bowl this year, and they're expecting $23 billion in bets to come in on the spread, total, money line, and obviously 100 different props. They've got 8 props listed for Taylor Swift, the coin toss, the Gatorade color, halftime performances, and then whatever other non-football related options they've got. But Jake, today, I want to hear about what your thoughts are on the spread, the total. I want to know what your props are to take, but specifically, we're talking about the football game.
I'm very excited for this game, first of all. I know a lot of people were upset that it was this matchup. I know some people wanted to see the Lions and the Ravens, but I think these are the two best teams. Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey. You know, the 49ers have basically been the best team in the NFC for the last 5 years, and the Chiefs have basically been the best team in the AFC for the last 5 years. So very, very fitting matchup, and I am super excited for it. I think it's going to be a very competitive and entertaining game.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that you're not getting two elite teams in there, even though this wasn't probably what most fans wanted to see. So let's start off with the spread. And I saw that over the last 30 years, you've got underdogs who are 18, 9, and 3 against the spread, which means they're hitting at a 66% rate. And then in the last 3 Super Bowls, the Bengals covered, Chiefs and Buccaneers obviously both won outright on the money line. And I saw a TikTok where a guy broke down that the better QB almost always wins. And in his breakdown, he basically said that if there's a clear-cut better QB on the field, they won it 80% of the time. I want to know what your thoughts are on that. I want to know who you like against the spread at -2.
Yeah, and not only that statistic about underdogs, but underdogs are on a 12-4 streak against the spread. So they're hitting at even 75% over the last 15 years. You know, this game was interesting to follow the spread because it opened up at San Francisco -2, and everybody immediately bombed the Chiefs. Everyone saw, I can get Patrick Mahomes at underdog odds in the Super Bowl. Let me get on that immediately. Went down to 1.5 one day of. But you know, the game has obviously been very heavily bet for the Chiefs. 84% of the bets are on the Chiefs, according to my research. And the line has climbed back up to San Francisco -2, -2.5. So Vegas very unconcerned with the fact that the majority of the public is on the Chiefs. They're willing to let people get back on the Chiefs as an underdog. And, you know, I don't know about you, but it doesn't really seem to me like Vegas is in the business of giving away free wins like that. I think a lot of people are looking at Patrick Mahomes as a dog and his career statistics as an underdog. I think he's something like 11-1 against the spread as an underdog recently. And they're thinking it's free money, and I just don't think it's that easy. San Francisco is the most balanced team in the league. They have an incredible run game, probably the best group of weapons in the entire league, and a quarterback in Brock Purdy who, while he may be a little bit more in the game manager style, doesn't make mistakes and can make good throws. I mentioned the previous Super Bowl between these two teams. Let's not forget, San Francisco basically had that win wrapped up. They had Emmanuel Sanders deep behind the safeties for that bomb touchdown, and Jimmy G overthrew it. Brock Purdy has been a significant upgrade to this offense since he took over for Jimmy Garoppolo, and I like San Francisco to get it done. You know, I think the Chiefs have been very, very strong this postseason, but it's mostly been through their defense, and San Francisco's defense is very nasty. They have the best defensive line in football, and I don't know if the Chiefs are going to be able to get it done against this beastly team that was due and wants it bad.
Yeah, I feel like you're looking into the line movement. You're trying to understand what Vegas thinks, and I'm just playing it like a public bettor. I like the Chiefs' pass defense. It only gives up 180 yards a game, and even though they only had 9 interceptions this year, which I think was the lowest in the league, they're playing a quarterback who's brand new to this experience, and I think they're going to pick him off at least once. You know, I thought the 49ers showed a lot of fight in their game against the Lions, but they were at home. Jared Goff isn't Patrick Mahomes. Pacheco's young, but on the season, he's only fumbled it 1 time. The Chiefs are more experienced and they're more prepared to play with a lead, and they're not going to give the 49ers those same opportunities to capitalize like the Lions did. You think about it, Kelsey is the best tight end on the field. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback, and even though the best weapons on the field are on the Niners, they're not going to be touching the ball as often as those two guys are. So I'm going to take the better tight end. I'm going to take the better quarterback. Kelsey had 11 catches for 100 yards in his last game against a legit Ravens defense, and I think they're trending up and they've got a ton of momentum. And since I made the mistake of fading them last year, I'm going to try to make up for it on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to argue against not going with Mahomes as an underdog. I just love San Francisco too much. I've been too much of a fan of them, and I'm a big fan of Kyle Shanahan. You give that guy 2 weeks to prepare against Steve Spagnuolo's defense, he'll come up with counters to the blitz.
Well, how about the total? I saw that the total's history is 28, 28, and 1 in the Super Bowl, which means it's a dead toss-up. And this year, it's set at 47.5. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, on the surface, this number feels low. You got 2 really, really strong offenses, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and the Chiefs offense against Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Brock Purdy. Both teams can put up huge points. You only need 24-24 each to hit this over. but I'm leaning towards the under in the spot. The Chiefs defense has been amazing so far this playoffs, only giving up 41 points combined. They blitz a ton. They've been getting pressure. Steve Spagnuolo has been calling a really, really strong defensive game plan so far. And on offense, the Chiefs have not been super strong. They're only 6 of 13 inside the red zone at converting touchdowns. So you combine those two factors with the Chiefs, plus the Niners play at the slowest tempo in the NFL. They average 31 seconds per play. I think a lot of people, myself included, plan to expect to see Christian McCaffrey have a heavy workload in this game, giving him the ball a lot that will bleed clock. As you said about Pacheco, has been playing well. He should be getting carries. I think the clock's going to run, and I like the under in this game. It feels like a too tempting spot for the over. And again, I don't think Vegas is in the business of giving out free wins, especially in the Super Bowl.
It is really tempting. The Chiefs in their last 10 games only went over 47 3 times, and then the 49ers in their last 10 only went over 47 4 times. But now we're talking about the Super Bowl. You got two solid defenses that can create turnovers, two offenses that have shown they can score on anybody. So I'm on the over because even if one team does want to play ball control, as soon as the other one scores, the other's going to have to come out of their shell a little bit, try to make a drive down the field, and that's when we get into a little bit more of a shootout. Not sure how far over we're going to go. I don't think this is going to be like the Lions game, but I do think we're going to creep to one of these teams getting close to the 30s. Now, in regards to the money line, Jake, do you find any value on the money line odds versus the spread?
I think if you like the Chiefs, absolutely. I mean, you can get a little bit extra VIG points by taking the money line there. I think it's pretty unlikely that this game is going to be a 1-point game. The only real scenario I see that happening is if San Francisco is down 7 late, they decide to go for 2 for the game winner, or actually probably what's more likely in today's modern analytics, they're down 14, they score a touchdown, get the 2, score again, win by 1. I think that's too specific a scenario to be concerned about. So I'm okay with taking the money line if you like Kansas City here. And similarly with San Francisco, I don't see enough scenarios where it ends with San Francisco exactly by 1 to give up the extra juice to take the money line there. So I think there's value if you like KC, but if you like San Francisco like I do, just lay the points.
Well, talking about extra juice, if you want to bet on this game for free from any state in the U.S., you can sign up for BroThrow.com/YouTube. I put the link in the description box below. When you get onto BroThrow, you get to take spreads, totals, and money lines at better odds than you'll find anywhere else online. On the screen, I've got the spread listed at plus 100, the totals plus 100 as well. And at minus 120, those money line odds are better than you'll find on any app or sportsbook out there. So again, you can sign up if you click the link in the description box below. That's where Jake and I make all of our bets. But let's move on to some of the props you like, because this is going to be a huge prop day. I know all of my friends are going to be betting these like crazy. Pretty much every Super Bowl party I've ever gone to, everyone's got a bunch of props out, and we're all trying to follow and see who can make the most off theirs. But what are you liking?
Yeah, props for the Super Bowl is always my favorite game of the year. I remember back before they really allowed props for every single game, I would spend hours ahead of time researching all these props, putting together lists, comparing my notes with my friends. I got a few props that I like this year. First of all is the Travis Kelce over 70.5 receiving yards. I looked it up. In 12 consecutive playoff games, he's had over 70 yards receiving. That tells you all you need to know. They feed him the ball in the playoffs. I don't think anything's going to change here. Doesn't matter if San Francisco's going to try to lock him down. They're going to find ways to get him the ball. He's their best player. Big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, Kelce last game, he had 11 receptions on 11 targets for like 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. Some insane performance. I don't see it really slowing down. 49ers are going to try to key on him, but it's not going to work. I like Kelce over.
Okay, I'm going shortest touchdown under 1.5 yards at minus 150. There has been a 1-yard touchdown in 7 of the last 8 Super Bowls, so I'm just going to follow the trend.
Yeah, that seems pretty good. Another prop that I like, Patrick Mahomes rushing yards over 26.5. He would have beaten those numbers in all 3 of the Super Bowls that he's played in. He was the number 2 rusher on the team this year in terms of yards. And in 5 of his most recent 8 playoff games, he's had a carry go for at least 20 yards. So he knows that when a play breaks down, he's willing to go bust out of the pocket, pick up the yardage, and he's due for what seems like one big carry every single game. And with San Francisco's great defensive line, I could definitely see some plays breaking down and him needing to scramble. So really like Patrick Mahomes' rush yards here.
I like that one too, especially knowing that this is the last game of the season. He's not worried about injury. He's worried about trying to make a play and get in the end zone if he has to. My next one is longest field goal under 47.5 yards at minus 120. And again, another stat I saw, 17 of the last 20 Super Bowls has gone under 47.5 yards.
My next prop that I like, Christian McCaffrey, first half touchdown, plus 115. The anytime touchdowns for McCaffrey are absolutely ridiculous. You got to pay like minus 250 juice, but he scored in virtually every single game this season. But what people don't realize is that in 13 of the games this year, he's had a first half touchdown. He's the primary running back in the Super Bowl. If they get the ball anywhere inside the 5, he's going to be getting the primary carries at it. Love him to get a first half touchdown. You can't play the anytime touchdown with the odds, but first half touchdown feels pretty safe. I mean, this guy's got like a 60% chance of scoring virtually any touchdown for San Francisco this season. So that one feels pretty good to me.
I've got a follow-up for McCaffrey then. McCaffrey to go over 35 yards rushing in each half, it's at minus 110. In the last 10 games, he's gone over 70 yards rushing 9 times. So he's going to run for at least 70 this week. And even if they're playing from behind, they're going to lean on him to make a big play to keep the offense moving.
And similar to my Patrick Mahomes rush take, I like Brock Purdy rush yards also. As you said, it's the last game of the year. There's no injury risk. Purdy had 50 yards rushing last game, 14 in the game against Green Bay. I think that we're definitely looking to see him have 1 or 2 big carries, especially we know the blitz is coming, and a good way to mitigate the blitz is, step up in the pocket and get through the defenders and run up the middle.
It's funny, I don't think of Purdy as much of a runner, but when you look back to Ohio State, he definitely had that ability. Okay, I've got 2 more off-the-wall props, not game-related. These are 2 I saw off TikTok, and I sent them to a bunch of my friends, so we'll see if these hit. But halftime songs over 8.5 for minus 140 odds. The last 10 Super Bowls have averaged 12 halftime songs. And then Taylor Swift to be shown over 5.5 times at minus 120. She was shown 13 times total in the last 2 playoff games. So if you think they're not going to show her at least 6 times in the Super Bowl when we know that there's going to be a massive audience watching for her, then I think you're truly mistaken. That might be my favorite bet on the entire board.
Yeah, I love that Taylor Swift prop. The only way I see it loses is if she somehow misses the game, because I believe she has a concert in Japan like the night before, but she's not missing the game. She is very adept with those private jets. She'll get back in time. For the song one, I think that one's a great pick as well. We know that Super Bowl halftime shows, they're only willing to play about like a minute, 45 seconds of each song. So about a 12-minute performance, I think. Plenty of time in there to get 8.5 songs. My only slight concern is the fact that Usher is an incredible dancer, so we might have some extra like dance numbers, dance segments that could cut into the total number of songs. But 8.5 definitely feels low.
That's a good point. Usher might have a different style of performance.
Well, you got to be able to account for this dancing skill, man. You got to look at all these things when it comes to gambling.
Well, my big units are on the Chiefs. They're going to be on the spread in the total. Hopefully one of those hits and it makes up for all my prop losses, because it feels like every year I end up negative on the props no matter how good I think they are. But Jake, thank you for being here. Thanks for all your picks. It's been a good football season. It sucks that this is our last game for the next 7 months, but we'll make the most of it.
Got to enjoy it while it counts. We're so close. New college football season, NFL season. Only a few months away, but we got to enjoy this one while it lasts.
Well, I'll catch you in I guess we're going to do college basketball the next month here. We'll talk about the tournament games, and we'll talk about, obviously, after those tournament games for the conferences, we're going to get into the big one, which is March Madness. Jake, I'll talk to you in the next video.